Morning, everyone. Would you please stand for the joint Fargo Police, Fargo Fire Honor Guard?
All uniform personnel, up to hood. Detail, halt. Ready, please. Very close. Ready, up. Freeze that. Up. Lower it. Up. Ready, please. Forward. Up.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance today. It's great to see the room packed for this pretty important event. We've got a lot of dignitaries and family here. We certainly want to welcome the Wallin family, Jeff and Amy, Dodos and the Hawes family, the Robinson family. We've got elected officials here as well. We welcome them. Many of our other public safety partners, chiefs, sheriffs, fire, EMS, Department Honor Guard, and of course our department staff and their families. So thank you very much for your presence here today. Before I continue with my remarks, I'd like to turn it over to our mayor, Dr. Timothy Mahoney. Please welcome him.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming today. It warms my heart to see this room full of people dedicated to the service of the community. Today, we gather to honor and recognize the extraordinary bravery displayed by our dedicated police officers and firefighters during the incident that significantly impacted our community. In so many ways, this is such an important day for our city, our community, and our first responders. The size of the crowd is a testimony to how much this ceremony means to all of us. Before we proceed, it's essential to acknowledge the profound sacrifice made by one of our own, Officer Jake Wallin, who lost his life in the line of duty. He fulfilled his oath as an officer with passion and dedication. Tragically, his fellow officers lost a brother, his community lost a guardian, and his family lost a son. To the Wallin family, I want you to know that our hearts will always be with you. The memory of your son is as strong in this room. It's strong because of who he was, because of his service, and because of his sacrifice. His career in law enforcement, his career as a public servant, was cut short. But we will always remember him and what he meant to each and one of us in the city of Fargo. He truly was an impact player. To me, it's just amazing how many different officers knew him and knew what he did for his service. to the community. To all our Fargo's first responders, I want you to know that our hearts are also with you. This incident has profoundly impacted on so many of you. The men and women we honor today have displayed exceptional bravery and dedication to the service to the community. Your commitment, even in the face of tragedy, exemplifies the highest standard of professionalism and courage. On behalf of the entire community, I want to express our deepest gratitude. We are mindful of the sacrifices public safety personnel make daily to keep us safe. Your work is not only vital, but it also involves putting yourselves in harm's way for the well-being of the community. The response of the community to the tragedy July 14th is that the community cares and very much appreciates the people who serve our community. On July 14th, 2023, our first responders were serving their community like they always do, a routine call where they were going to help those in need. We extend our deepest gratitude to those heroes for their selfless commitment to public safety. Their actions have not only protected lives, but have also contributed to the sense of security in the community. A recurrent question I would get is, Mayor, are we safe? And I said, absolutely. A term I frequently heard in the first responders is, we've got your back. This tragic event can never be erased from our memories, and we must allow hope to shine through. As we have seen, our community has rallied behind our first responders with outpourings of support and kind words of encouragement. And today, to all the honorees, I want to say thank you. These awards commemorate and memorize your contributions, symbolize your heroism and your selfless sacrifice. Your action that day saved many lives. In closing, let us carry forth a message of hope and resilience. Our community has strength to overcome challenges, and together we continue to work towards making Fargo the greatest place to live in this area. A place that we love and call home. Our guardians and protectors will always have our back. Thank you.
Nothing I did that day is heroic. Everything I did that day was my job. What Jake did was heroic.
This incident has been publicized widely, and I want it to be known that officers on a daily basis are going into situations that are unknown, that they may be overwhelmed with, because it is a difficult job. It's not your 9-to-5 job. It's a job that it takes a lot out of you, but it gives a lot back.
I think the support that we got is incredibly unique to Fargo. It's something we talked about a lot, where I don't know if we would have gotten the same support in other states, other towns. You know, it's a big town that feels like a small town.
Very grateful for the community, even just like driving around, seeing all the blue lights, everybody that obviously cares about all of us. Yeah, I know, just not just me been checked in on, it's been every member at the department.
Every day, heroes walk among us, never knowing if that day will be their last. Our first responders are our heroes, and we have their backs. Together, we are Fargo PD, today and always.
Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of Officer Jake Wallin. Thank you. Welcome to our honorees today. Not only in Jake's memory, but welcome to Andrew Dodas, Tyler Hawes, Zach Robinson, Sergeant Nick Chunnis, Officers Lacey Bunkelman, Shelby Lehman, Paul Nelson, Greg Schlangen, Jeff Ward, and from the Fire Department, Fire Captain Everett Patterson, firefighters Eric Chrislieb, Justin Philippi, Captain Nate Adams, firefighter Jake Chukna, and firefighter Ross Jones. We gather here today in a somewhat melancholy state to remember certainly the most horrific day in our police department history, nearly 150 years, and likely one of the most horrific events in our city's nearly 150-year history. While at the same time, while we remember and honor those that were lost, we're here to celebrate and recognize the acts of heroism and sacrifice of our department members and our public safety colleagues. It's all part of the healing process. It's necessary for all of us as we transition forward with heavy but grateful hearts. As we present each award, you'll notice some common themes reflected by the recipients. I want to put a little bit of that into perspective, and I want you to think about purpose, guardianship, courage, and resiliency. All of those words have meanings to us. In terms of purpose, we're often asked, what's the purpose of the police? Why are you here? What do you do? It's actually simple. The purpose of the police is to protect the vulnerable from harm. It's not just the elderly, it's not just the children or the infirm. We live in a community, gratefully, that is very safe. And most people have no idea of what we in the police service and the fire service see on a routine basis while we are ensuring that safety is there. And so that's a great environment for everyone. But in reality, everyone is susceptible or vulnerable to potentially being a victim of a crime, victim of an accident, some other injurious act that would involve the police or fire service. So all of us are, in a sense, vulnerable, and the police are here to protect everyone. On July 14th, something that we don't like to necessarily recognize or is unthinkable to most of us, our own officers became vulnerable. That's not something we're used to. I think if you watch the videos that were put out where we interviewed ComSteve interviewed Zach and Tyler and Andrew, there's a mention in there about seeing Tyler in a vulnerable state. It's not what we're used to. We're used to be the people that come here to help you and protect all of you. Zach and our other respondents provided as much protection as possible during, after, and going forward from this event. But that's our purpose, to protect the vulnerable from harm. In order to do that, we do need to serve as guardians. Guardianship is one of our core values in the department. We'll guard, protect, and preserve all life and property in the Fargo community, as well as each other. And so on this horrific event, while we did have officers down, injured, Jake obviously fatally, and a civilian hit and critically injured, we still had a guardian left standing, and we had many more on the way. Guardianship brings with it potential risk and sacrifice. At times we may be down, but we're never out. Sometimes we recognize the risks, and sometimes, as in this incident, pure evil was in wait, unforeseen, unknown to any of us until the action was initiated. We remain guardians to our community and each other, not only during, but again, going forward in the days, weeks, and months ahead. I cannot tell you how many times people have approached me, and I think Hannah mentioned this in her video as well, members of the public just coming up to me and thanking me on your behalf for keeping them safe at the street fair on July 14th, because either they were there, or they had friends there, or they had family there, or they had kids there. They recognize the significance of this incident, as bad as it was, and that many more lives would have likely been lost if not for the actions of all involved. Next, let's talk about courage. Winston Churchill famously said, "Fear is a reaction, courage is a decision." On July 14th, a lot of people in our department, our public safety colleagues, decided to be courageous, decided to be brave, work through the trauma to do what needed to be done. The courage of Jake to create distance and get off one shot before being fatally struck. The courage of Andrew, Tyler, and Zach to survive against all odds, against ever-present critical injuries, pain, and suffering. The courage of our responding officers and firefighters to immediately engage and provide life-saving assistance. The courage of our public safety partners to come to the scene, to conduct the investigation, collect evidence, interview witnesses, one of the most traumatic events that any of us could be involved in. And the courage of all to continue on, even if the trauma of the initial incident brought you pause. It should have. And there's no shame to that. It's what you do after that pause that matters. And to a person, every one of our personnel performed with courage and bravery and did everything they could with the resources that they had to do as much as possible in the situation before them. Lastly, resiliency. The capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, from injury. Mental resiliency, physical resiliency. The resiliency displayed by Andrew and Tyler after sustaining significant life-threatening injuries. They were in extreme pain and feeling completely vulnerable. In spite of that, Tyler got as close to Andrew as he could to help comfort him and to try and keep him conscious and continuing forward. All three of them, Tyler, Andrew, and Zach, to a person, what's the first thing after the dust settles and they're stabilized? When can I come back? Tyler wanted his badge right away in his hospital room. Andrew, I want to come back. Chief, I'm coming back. The doctor says it might be this long. I'm doing it in this amount of time. Zach, as soon as again, investigation's done, I want to get back on the street. That's because they know their purpose and they're guardians. And that's a lot of resiliency. And there's a lot of recuperation yet to happen, but they're making great progress. And that's exactly who we are, and that really exemplifies their character and their dedication to our police purpose. The resiliency of Zach under fire, addressing a lethal threat for nearly 2 minutes, all by himself. The resiliency of our responders to deal with the initial shock and trauma to prepare themselves for future service. I think we can all understand how difficult it is to come upon a scene like this and see your fellow comrades down, injured, maybe fatally wounded, doing everything you can to reverse that. These same qualities, purpose, guardianship, courage, and resiliency, are present and are visible in our police spouses and police families who have steadfastly supported and cared for Andrew, Tyler, and Zach during and after the incident. Hannah, Madison, Ashley, and your families, you've been tremendous, and I know that you know how important your support and love is as we get everyone through this situation. The Wallin family, forever in our thoughts and prayers, and much appreciated your support as well, continuing to be here and support not only in memory of Jake, but our folks that are recovering. Our community and elected officials displayed unwavering support and care, which is also much appreciated. I also want to recognize all of our other department team members who are not being formally recognized today, but were involved. All of us had a piece of this. Imagine it's 3:15. We have a briefing in process. We got a new shift coming on, red shift evenings rather, and we're just getting ready for another day of work. Again, we recognize the risks involved, but no one could foresee this when that really tragic call comes out. We've got officers down and we need help. Their response was immediate and tremendous. They were there within a couple of minutes as the threat was being neutralized by Zach. But they were there ready to protect and assist. One of our canines, Toby, and his handler, Betsy, also went to the scene. And after the dust had settled, ran her dog on the suspect's vehicle, which contained a number of suspicious items, and alerted to the potential explosive components that were inside the propane tanks. Had that not been done, that was still a potential danger to everyone else. The alerts of her dog, the expertness of her dog's alert also at the individual's house received national recognition. And so we appreciate that effort as well. Our executive staff here at the department, Friday afternoon, end of the week, getting ready to head out. Suddenly, the unforeseen happens, the unthinkable happens. Jumped right into gear, put in tremendous hours, organization, got things going, got the resources, continued to support everyone across the board, and did a fantastic job in a very, very terrible situation. Our civilian staff throughout this process as well jumped in every opportunity that they could to assist, provide support. Whatever they could do, they were there for us. They did an outstanding job of receiving the voluminous amount of memorials and things of that nature that came to the department. They organized it, they cataloged it. Just unbelievable work on their part. Those that weren't working, everyone was working. Everyone came in. The off-duty response was tremendous as well, and also that of our partners, other police agencies, our dispatchers, our fire, and our EMS personnel. I know much about what all of you did during and after this incident. You have my utmost respect and gratitude for your actions on July 14th, and the work that you continue to do every day to fulfill our policing purpose. And I'm very proud to be your chief. So let's move into the award presentation, keeping all of that in mind. Our first award is the Purple Heart Award. The Purple Heart Medal is presented to sworn members who are seriously injured or wounded in the line of duty. It's a very prestigious award, but it's kind of odd because it's not an award that someone would try to get. It's not something we want people to ascribe to. Yes, I would like to get seriously injured so I can get an award, right? In fact, in the Tyler video, Tyler and Madison have a little light humor moment where Tyler says, "Hey, so I got shot." She goes, "Yeah, let's not do that again." Yeah. So while we want to recognize this, we also, yes, we don't want to repeat this. And I know that no one wanted this to happen, but just to put the award in perspective. So what are we celebrating when we give these two guys their Purple Heart Medal? We're celebrating their resilience and courage, their resilience and courage to survive. They had significant injuries. I mean, you can't imagine being struck with a rifle round at that close range. Just unimaginable. And yes, we did lose Jake, and we can't change that. But we're very lucky that Andrew and Tyler survived. They were both immediately incapacitated as the gunshots started. They weren't in a position necessarily to even help themselves. They were vulnerable. They were there for each other, they were there for their families, and they were there for all of us. True guardianship. They displayed the courage and resiliency to survive from the moment they were shot and going forward through the many, many surgeries that they've already endured and will continue to endure through their rehabilitation with their stated goal of getting back to the police department. Andrew wants that SRO spot. He wants to get out to negotiations, right? Tyler wants to get back on the street. He loves doing what he's doing. Purpose. The fight continues, but each day they make progress, and they serve as an example to all of us. When the chips are the most dire, when you think things are down and there's no other alternatives, they are inspirational in their ability and in their example of fighting through, of struggling well to struggle through. They got themselves through it with the support of others, and they'll continue to do so. So we're going to do these one at a time. If you would please welcome Officer Andrew Dotis to the front. And now please welcome Officer Tyler Haas. A big key to the survival of Andrew and Tyler's was the immediate and courageous response of our firefighters, who were also out at this scene, and as the gunshots erupted, took cover in their fire truck. As Zach neutralized the threat immediately thereafter, these folks jumped out. Now, they weren't certain that everything was done yet. They just knew it got a little quieter. They jumped out into a very dangerous situation and provided immediate life-saving efforts. In particular, firefighter Filippi served as a medic in Afghanistan and was specifically equipped to deal with rifle-level trauma. So again, in a really, really bad situation, we couldn't have been more fortunate. For their efforts, they are being awarded the Department's Medal of Valor that is provided to those who distinguish themselves by an act above and beyond the call of duty, involving substantial risk to their life, which they most certainly did. So please welcome, again, we'll go one at a time here, Captain Everett Patterson. Please welcome firefighter Eric Chrislieb. And lastly, firefighter Justin Filippi. At this juncture, I'm going to transition over to Chief Steve Dirksen. He's got some additional awards recognizing members of the fire department.
Good morning. It's great to be here and see such a full room. It really says a lot about this community. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, esteemed colleagues. Today we gathered not only to recognize the bravery, but also to pay tribute to 6 extraordinary individuals whose courage and selflessness shone brightly amidst the darkest days of July 14, 2023 in Fargo, North Dakota. A tragic incident unfolded that tested the mettle of our emergency responders, claimed the life of Jake Wallin, critically injured officers Dotis and Hawes. In the face of adversity, 6 firefighters from Fargo rose to the occasion, demonstrating unparalleled valor and dedication to duty. Captain Everett Patterson, firefighter Eric Chrislieb, firefighter Justin Filippi exemplified extraordinary courage when their fire engine, a symbol of their commitment to the community's safety, became a target. Returning to their vehicle, they found themselves in a perilous situation as the gunman opened fire on police officers. Undeterred by the chaos, they bravely tended to the wounded, embodying the essence of their calling. Their swift and decisive actions undoubtedly saved lives. Their actions serving as a testament to the rigorous training and unwavering commitment that defines our firefighting community. Captain Patterson, firefighter Chrislieb, and firefighter Filippi, your courage in the face of danger sets the standard for us all. In the moments following Officer Zach Robinson's heroic neutralization of the shooter, Captain Nate Adams, firefighter Jacob Chukna, and firefighter Ross Jones arrived on scene ready to lend their expertise and support. Their rapid response exemplified the seamless coordination and solidarity that defines the emergency response community. Today, as we commend Firefighter Adams, Firefighter Chuckna, and Firefighter Jones for their professionalism, compassion, and unwavering commitment to serving our community. Their dedication to providing aid in the aftermath of such a traumatic event speaks volume about their character and of the character of these individuals and the values that they uphold. As we honor these 6 extraordinary firefighters, let us also extend gratitude to the families of the loved ones that allowed them to carry out their duties with such distinction. And the families is not just the families that you live with and go home to. It's everybody in blue and white that served this community. That's our family. And the support that came to our fire department, to our police department, to our EMS personnel following July 14th was extraordinary. The calls I received from around the country expressing gratitude and the work that for what was done, offers of support and help, anything that we needed, and the days continuing as we knew we had to deal with this situation and what the toll it was going to take on all of us. Today, these 6 firefighters are receiving the Fargo Fire Department Letter of Commendation for service on an emergency scene. This commendation recognizes when a firefighter or a crew has performed their duties in an exemplary manner during a potentially significant, potentially dangerous, or potentially life-threatening situation that is beyond the normal expectation of services by the fire department. So at this time, I'd like to call up Captain Everett Patterson. Firefighter Eric Chrisley. Firefighter Justin Philippi. Captain Nate Adams. Firefighter Jacob Chuckna. Firefighter Ross Jones. So in closing, let the actions of Captain Everett Patterson, Firefighter Eric Chrisley, Firefighter Justin Philippi, Captain Nate Adams, Firefighter Jacob Chuckna, and Firefighter Ross Jones serve as an enduring reminder that even in the face of adversity, the spirit of service, courage, and unity prevails. May their example inspire us all to strive for excellence and fortify the bonds that make this community resilient and strong. Thank you, and may the legacy of these brave firefighters and police officers forever be etched into our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Dirksen. We definitely appreciate your partnership and friendship and the manner in which we're able to work across the board together. That's outstanding. Next, we want to recognize our department team members who exemplified purpose, guardianship, courage, and resiliency through their acts of selfless service to our involved officers and their families. In the immediate aftermath of this incident, much was unknown, and much still is, about the why. Were there additional threats to our officers and or their families? Were there specific targets to any of our officers? Was there anyone else out there? Was there any other connections? We immediately established an officer liaison, family liaison program. All these folks volunteered immediately to serve in these positions for each affected family, as well as perform hospital guard duties 4 weeks, also augmented by other police department personnel and some of our other police partners. On a 24/7 basis, we had security for everyone that was in the hospital, and we had direct liaison with the Wallin family as we worked through their grief and arrangements for Jake. These folks gave up a substantial amount of their own off time, worked extended hours, all to fulfill their purpose and to ensure guardianship for all of our members and their families. They continue to remain in place today as direct points of contact as we prepare for the May Law Enforcement Officer Memorial Week in DC, where Jake's name will be added to the national wall. The liaison team distinguished themselves by acts above and beyond the call of duty, which brings acclaim to them and the department, and they are therefore awarded the Distinguished Service Medal. We've got a few of these. If we would start with, please bring up Sergeant Nick Chunnis. I will give you this in a second. But I just wanted to add, Sergeant Chunnis was kind of the organizer, the ringleader, if you will, of this whole liaison operation. He served a vital role in making sure that everyone that was performing these duties got regular rest and rotation, but that the families were cared for and all their needs were met. He also served a vital role for myself and the rest of the executive team in that his information was the information. And I'm sure as many of you have gone through events like this, or maybe not, you'll understand how all kinds of information gets tossed out to people from what is deemed to be reliable sources. Some of it can cause great distress. And we had a couple of those instances throughout this incident. When that happened, myself and the exec team were able to go to Sergeant Chunnis to make sure, verify, and get the correct information. And thankfully, it was almost, what we had been told was almost always wrong. And he was there and on top of this at every turn, so we really appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Next, Officer Lacey Bunkelman. Lacey served as a liaison to Jake's fiancee Winter, and also with her partner Lane Anderson, who was unable to be here, assisted with making sure that the Wallin family had everything that they need. So much appreciated. Please welcome Officer Shelby Lehman. Shelby, along with Officer Paul Nelson, who we'll call up here next, perform liaison duty for the Hawes family. Again, outstanding work on their part, and everyone here put in a lot of hours and effort. Much appreciated. Thank you. Paul Nelson. Next, we'd like to welcome the liaisons for the Dotis family, Officer Greg Schlangen. And Officer Jeffrey Ward. Following the initial ambush and shooting of our officers and civilian Carly Koswick, literally the last officer, the last guardian on scene, Zach Robinson, took immediate and decisive action to engage the killer. We've all seen the video. We've all heard Zach's account. I met with him several times about this incident. His exemplary and selfless actions are in the highest standards of the police profession. Zach's a police professional through and through, and he understands his purpose. His fellow officers were shot and down, as was a civilian. He knew the only way to protect them from further harm was to engage regardless of the odds, while at the same time requesting assistance from other officers. There is such thing as a normal gunfight. In a normal gunfight, pistol versus rifle is not a winning proposition. But it didn't matter because Zach's resiliency and courage overcame that. It led him through the fight. He followed his training seamlessly and without hesitation. He knew that in order for his fellow officers to get the critical medical care that they needed, he had to first stop the threat. After unknowingly disabling the killer's rifle with his first barrage of shots, Zach moved towards the threat. Utilizing available cover, which there wasn't much, there was a tree, but not a lot, and reloading his empty magazine while in motion. Not even a thought, not even a hesitation. I'm empty. Boom. What's next? The killer would not relent and was armed with other firearms that he continued to brandish and present. In spite of that, Zach continued giving commands while tactically flanking his position and ultimately cutting the pie, tactical maneuver, around the back of the car as the killer continued his attempt to use deadly force. He ultimately had no choice but to neutralize the killer just as other officers arrived on scene to assist. After securing the suspect in cuffs, Zach turned his immediate attention to his fellow comrades. Recognizing that Jake was tragically fatally shot, he went to Andrew's side and along with other officers, including Tyler, who had crawled to that position, and our firefighters, worked to keep him conscious and alert as he was prepared for immediate transport. As the full scope of the killer's intent later became apparent, it was obvious that this was not his only intended act of carnage, but he was most likely going to proceed from this scene to the Fargo Street Fair, where he would kill and injure many, many other community members. The bullets that Tyler and Jake and Andrew received would very likely have found their mark with other community members, but for their presence and their actions on that day. Zach fulfilled his policing purpose, and as a guardian, fought valiantly and courageously to protect others. His actions saved many lives in our community. His resilient mindset kept him alert and able to respond, even under tremendous pressure and stress, to each aspect of the gun battle, and served to assist him in the days going forward. He is therefore, I'll use a Drew Wrigleyism, he is therefore worthy, more than worthy, of the department's highest award, the Medal of Honor. This award is bestowed upon an officer who distinguishes himself by an act above and beyond the call of duty, involving extreme risks to their life, and there certainly was extreme risk. If you were an odds maker looking at this situation, you wouldn't bet on the pistol versus the rifle. But odds makers don't know the integrity, the character, the resiliency, and the courage of Zach Robinson or of our personnel. This award has only been given to 2 other FPD officers, both posthumously, Officer Jason Mosier and Officer Jake Willeen. Please welcome Zach Robinson. Lastly, we were recently approached by a group called Running for Heroes. This is a group who goes around the country showing their appreciation for first responders who have been lost in the line of duty or have been injured in the line of duty. They would like to make a presentation here today, so I'd like to welcome up the CEO, Chad Cartledge, and the founder, Zachariah Cartledge.
Good morning, everybody. Before I start, I do want to thank Officer Dodas, Officer Haas, Officer Robinson, and everybody with the Fargo Police Department for allowing us to be here today. I want to thank everybody for all of their work to get this event possible, along with the run later today. This event today, along with what we're about to present, is just continuing to help these first responders for the ultimate courage and dedication they put back on July 14th. My name is Zachariah. I'm the founder of the nonprofit Running for Heroes. Back in 2019, I made it my mission to run a mile whenever a police officer or firefighter was killed across the country in the line of duty. Since 2019, since we've started, we've done over 1,600 miles. We have 7 kids across the country. I personally have done over 1,400 of these miles. Something we've also added in the last few years, since we've gotten a lot of donations and a lot of support from other organizations and other companies, is we have now many programs that help injured first responders and families of fallen first responders. Some of those funds include the Families of Our Fallen Beneficiary Fund for officers and firefighters with children under the age of 18 years old, along with a K-9 program, and last but not least, the Injured First Responder Grant Program. And back a few months ago, we had a application for a grant, or I should say 2 grants, for the 2 first responders from Fargo, Officer Andrew Dodas and Officer Tyler Haas, who were injured back on July 14th. And to talk more about that, I would like to bring up my dad, who's also the CEO. Before I do, though, I also want to say as well, we have given just under $1 million through all of our funds. And after these 2 grants, we are very close to $500,000 we've given back to injured first responders across the country. With that being said, I want to welcome my dad, and he's going to talk more about the grants that we're giving today.
Thank you. I do want to also acknowledge our Secretary and Treasurer, David White's here as well. And to Chief, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this here today. Before I say anything, I do want to take a few moments and acknowledge the family of Officer Jake Wallin. Many of you likely saw the run video that Zechariah did several months ago to honor him. And prior to the announcement of that run, we made a promise that we will not allow him to be forgotten. And that promise continues long after the 1 mile run has been completed. To the Wallin family, know that our prayers are always with you. And if you ever find yourself in or around Orlando, Florida, or to any of you here today that find yourselves around Central Florida, we welcome you to the Running for Heroes Tribute Hall, where we continue to honor Officer Wallin and all 1,600 first responders that we've run for over the last few years. I also want to take a moment and acknowledge every man and woman in this room that serves as a first responder. While our mission may be known for the honor that we give our fallen, Zechariah was inspired to start this because of men and women like you who every single day bravely take on the courage it takes to perform the duties that you do. And while you mentioned that the support has been great here in Fargo, we hope coming here from Florida shows you that your efforts are acknowledged across this country. And we thank you for your service, and our prayers continue to be with you all. As Zechariah mentioned, shortly after the incident, we received a grant application from Deputy Chief Anderson saying that we have 2 officers that are very deserving of this grant. Interestingly enough, at the time of the incident, Zechariah and I were just a few states away in Nebraska presenting a grant to another injured officer when we got the news. We were very honored to receive these applications because shortly after the incident, many folks reached out to us asking if Zechariah could come to Fargo, and we so desperately wanted to be here with you all, and it means a great deal to us to be able to be here today. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Officer Andrew Dodas and Officer Tyler Haas down on the floor, please. So the awards that we're presenting today were made possible by many of our donors. One in particular is an organization out of Central Florida called the Central Florida Technology Partners. So we want to thank them for helping make this, this presentation possible. We are honored to be able to share today that this morning, Running for Heroes will be presenting not only 1, but 2 of our injured first responder grants to Officers Andrew Dodas and Officer Tyler Haas. In appreciation of your courage, your bravery, and of your sacrifices, and in support of your efforts to continue the fight to get back to full duty, it is our honor to present both of these officers with checks totaling $8,000 from the Running for Heroes organization. We heard in the video one of these officers mention that during the incident they were just doing their job. They're not heroes. That's what they're called to do. Zechariah mentioned we have other youth runners across the country, and respectfully I'd like to say that to Zechariah, to Teresa, to Juliana, to Jaden, to Andrew, and to Morgan, which are our youth runners across the country. They look at these 2 as heroes because that's really what they are. So thank you again for your bravery. Another thing that we like to offer from time to time is our acknowledgments when there's a particular individual responsible for helping ensure that our grant recipients could be here to present those awards. And if it wasn't for the quick actions and the professionalism of Officer Zachary Robinson, we know that this ceremony would be a totally different one today. So we also want to quickly acknowledge him. Officer Robinson, if you could please join us down here real quick. While I know it isn't much, we want to make sure that Officer Robinson knows that his actions were seen across the country, not just in Fargo. So that being said, we would like to present Officer Zachary Robinson with the Running for Heroes Heroes Hero Award. On behalf of the entire board of directors for Running for Heroes, myself, our founder, Zechariah, and all of our youth runners, thank you again to the men and women that serve here in Fargo. Chief, thank you for allowing us to be here today, and we pray God blesses you all and wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. For anyone that wants to watch or support the run that Zachariah is going to do this afternoon at 1 o'clock. He's starting at 24th Street North and 3rd Ave North, east to 18th Street North, west on 5th Ave North, and back southbound on 24th Street North to the PD, east side of the PD. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for that presentation and that support. In closing, I want to thank everyone for their attendance. It means a lot to all of us, and I think our very humble heroes, and they are extremely humble, the acts that they have done, the sacrifices they have made. You will not find anyone with a higher level of character, humbleness. They just deserve a lot of our respect and gratitude, and they certainly appreciate everyone's attendance here today. I'm very proud of the actions of all of our personnel in this incident and of all our department members who on a daily basis perform as guardians to serve our community. As we prepare for the Christmas holiday season, I really just want everyone to enjoy the holidays, enjoy time with your families, knowing that in spite of this really horrific and tragic event that struck our community on July 14th, you are living in a safe city that is protected by a whole lot of guardians who are committed to their purpose. And we equally appreciate your support in that endeavor, and it's been tremendous over the past several months. So thank you very much for that. We're going to have all of our awardees come down now. We will, from there, retire the colors, and then we'll end the ceremony. So please stand by for a second. When we retire the colors, I'll just ask you to stand. Am I good? Yeah, I think so.